Tensions in Eastern Europe are reaching a boiling point. US and Bulgarian troops from the 2nd Cavalry Regiment have landed in Poland in full force. This massive deployment has sparked panic in Moscow, as it signals NATO's readiness to expand its presence along Europe's eastern flank. The joint military convoy consisted of hundreds of armored vehicles, light battle tanks, and long-range artillery systems. Sources inside NATO revealed that the 2nd Cavalry Regiment is known for its high mobility and lethal ground combat capabilities. Combined with the Bulgarian forces, this deployment marks a significant boost in NATO's strength near the borders of Ukraine and Belarus. This move is widely seen as a direct response to Russia's growing military activity in Donbass and the reinforcement of Russian troops along its western border. Moscow has labeled the deployment as serious provocation and a direct threat to its national security. Russian state media is heating up, portraying the arrival of these NATO forces as the largest military escalation since the start of the Ukraine conflict. They emphasize the fact that US and Bulgarian troops are now stationed just a few hundred kilometers from Russia's borders, an unprecedented development. Meanwhile, the Pentagon claims the deployment is part of a joint training exercise aimed at strengthening NATO's collective defense. However, military analysts argue that this is far more than a drill, pointing to the strategic weapons being positioned and readied for action. Among the deployed assets are Stryker armored vehicles, light combat tanks, and Patriot air defense systems. Analysts believe NATO is preparing to secure both air and ground dominance in the region should a larger conflict erupt. The deployment also involves close coordination with Poland as the host nation. The Polish government has declared its full readiness to support NATO's efforts, providing unrestricted access to key logistics routes and strategic air bases. For the first time, Bulgaria has sent its elite combat units to participate in a large-scale NATO operation alongside US forces. This move signals stronger unity among Eastern European NATO members against the perceived Russian threat. In response, Moscow has heightened its military alert status in the Kaliningrad region and along its western frontier. Reports indicate that Iskander M ballistic missile systems have been repositioned closer to the front lines as part of Russia's countermeasures. Geopolitical analysts warn that this deployment raises the risk of a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia. Without a diplomatic breakthrough, the standoff could escalate into a full-scale regional conflict. In Washington, the US president issued a strong statement, declaring the deployment part of an uncompromising commitment to defend NATO allies from any threat. Though unnamed, the message was clearly aimed at Moscow as a stern warning. Meanwhile, the Kremlin accused the US and NATO of deliberately provoking Russia and destabilizing the region. A Kremlin spokesperson declared that Russia will not stand idly by and is prepared to take appropriate and decisive measures. International media outlets described the deployment as the start of a new phase in the Ukraine conflict. Some observers even suggested signals NATO's preparation for possible direct intervention in the ongoing war. Reports indicate that Russia has deployed Su-35 fighter jets and reconnaissance drones to monitor NATO troop movements in Poland. The Belarusian and Russian borders are now heavily fortified with additional military units. In Poland's border towns, local residents are growing anxious. Witnesses report seeing hundreds of NATO military convoys passing every hour, including tanks, logistics trucks, and combat helicopters hovering on standby above key routes. Meanwhile, Ukraine welcomed NATO's deployment, calling it a clear sign of support for its sovereignty and defense against Russian aggression. Officials in Kyiv stated that this move boosts morale and strengthens their military stance. However, global leaders express concerns that this escalation could trigger open clashes between the world's biggest military powers. Calls for de-escalation and renewed diplomacy are growing louder as tensions spiral. For now, NATO troop movements continue at full speed. Armored divisions, combat equipment, and supply lines are still arriving via air and land, suggesting the deployment has not yet reached its peak. The world is holding its breath. With US and Bulgarian forces from the 2nd Cavalry Regiment now fully stationed in Poland, the front line creeps ever closer to Russia. If tensions remain unchecked, Eastern Europe could face its largest war since World War II.
Yeah, where's my chief? Come on. Pick up! Let's go! We're in! Let's go! Fire! Three! Ready, ramp! Take it! Let's go! Yeah! Take you back when I want to make sure it's the line! Let's go! Verify.